Happy to see some familiar faces in the crowd popping in.
Love when you put your screens on, get to see the beautiful faces. Oh. And we understand if you can't, not a problem. Oh. There was a little peer pressure there.
Yeah. Well,
Oh, thank
what's
you. Thank
that?
you. Thank you. It's nicer. I actually teach live Zoom and students have to keep their screens on, but I know in this situation you don't have to. But thank you for putting it on because we love to see your faces.
I do. And I'm feeling very friendly because I see a lot of friendly faces from
I'm
many different corners.
gonna give it one more minute and then we will get started. Okay. Tisha. I don't know. Okay. All right. I think I will start. Welcome, everybody. Hello and welcome. My name is Robin Rubin, and I am an instructor at the Phyllis and Harvey Sandler School of Social Work at Florida Atlantic University. I'm also founder of the Robin Rubin Center for Happiness and Life Enhancement. Before we get started, I wanted to briefly introduce the Robin Rubin Center for Happiness and Life Enhancement for those of you who may be joining us for the first time. So, this center is housed within the Sandler School of Social Work within the College of Social Work and Criminal Justice here at FAU. The center offers weekly wellness programming. Sorry for my dogs. I have two dogs that are the loves of my life. Sorry. And they're free of charge. Students, faculty, staff, friends, and family are all welcomed and encouraged to attend all of our events. We have meditations the last Friday of every month at noon on Zoom. It's almost like a rhyme. It will start August 29th. We also have yoga on the second and fourth Mondays of each month, and that will start September 8th. And then there's also special monthly workshops like this one. It's never been more important to nurture our physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual wellness. We are firm believers that it all starts with giving yourself permission to show up and step forward. So, for any first timers, welcome. And to everyone here, thank you for showing up for yourself today. It's now my pleasure to introduce our speaker, Maria Benzo. Dr. Maria Benzo is an international medical doctor specializing in physical medicine and rehabilitation with a master's degree in positive psychology and a certification as a professional coach by the International Coaching Federation. Currently, she is an assistant professor of medicine and research associate at the Mayo Clinic, focusing on behavioral research and health and wellness coaching for medical patients. Her expertise spans medicine, positive psychology, mindfulness, motivational interviewing, and acceptance and commitment therapy, enabling her to design integral coaching interventions that enhance psychological flexibility and overall well being. And what's more important than that? Not much. Maria, thank you so much for being here. Please take it away.
Okay, well, thank you, Robin. It's so great to be within this lovely group and having you as a friend, Robin, that I get to come back here every couple months, I would say, maybe twice a year that we're able to do these fun things. Thank you, everybody, for being here. Lots of friendly faces from, I'm seeing Minnesota, I'm seeing Georgia, and if you're connecting from Florida, and just put in the chat, like, where are you coming from? And yeah, let's start to get interactive here. So we're going to take it away with a presentation, and the idea is that today we'll kind of work together. I hope you had the chance. Oh, let's gotta swap. I'm good, right? Okay, I'm good. Yeah. I hope if you got an email today with a link, that link will open up this handout that we'll use today. So I'm hoping maybe Kayla, you can drop that link in the chat so people can start pulling it up and have it ready. We don't need it just quite yet, but I do want to prepare you for this workshop, and that means that you'll be working alongside with me. And that's what I like. If you know me, if you've been with me on webinars or on classes, I like for us to interact all the time and make this very participatory. So, like Robin said, my work is rooted in positive psychology and mindfulness and acceptance and commitment therapy and coaching. And this workshop is intended to guide you through a self-discovery journey and see if we can land on your personal philosophy. The personal philosophy is something that for me was very impactful when I was able to articulate mine. And this is why I'm very happy to kind of walk you through these steps that it takes a little bit of time. So perhaps, you might not have your definite personal philosophy articulated today, but it's a place to start. And I'm hoping that this will get you excited. The power of knowing your personal philosophy comes from knowing yourself and what you stand for. And this gives strength to every choice that you make, and it gives you the resilience even to get through some challenges. You need to know what you're standing for, even when it's challenging. So hopefully, let me get to the next slide here. There we go. Let's get a chat wave starting here. And a chat wave is just, you just put in the chat, what brings you here? I mean, when you decided to dedicate, an hour of your day, what sparked interest in kind of learning about your personal philosophy? Perhaps you have done this in the past. Perhaps you're starting from zero, and that's okay. But just put in the chat, what is interesting to you about discovering your personal philosophy? And let me see if I can see us here. I love to learn, curiosity. Come on, let's get that wave going. Self learning. Yep. Personal growth, learning. Yeah. So when we talk about, let's see, what? Yep, it is one of your classes. I do have some people that I kind of um, know very closely because we work together as students and faculty. All right. Personal growth, learning. Yep. Yeah. So really, when we talk about understanding your personal philosophy, why does this even matter, right? Um, Basically, your personal philosophy, it's like a compass. It guides the decisions you make. It influences the friends that you choose, the love that you find, the purchases that you make, the job that you take, where you live in the world, the way you feel about yourself and the possibilities you hold for yourself. Those are all guided by your personal philosophy. And you already have one. Maybe you haven't articulated it yet, but your personal philosophy are your guiding principles. These certain values, strengths, and beliefs that you already have and are already influencing every choice you make. So, by actively defining and bringing to your awareness your personal philosophy, you gain power to live life on your own terms rather than by societal expectations, or rather by being, if you will, pushed around by what you should be doing, by what you see other people doing on social media, or peer pressure, right? So the idea is that if you start to define your guiding principles and you know what you stand for, then you have a lot more power to make your own decisions. So it expresses your basic beliefs and values. I'm gonna there we go. So what we're going to do today, we're going to go through these 4 exercises, and then the 5th one will be landing on this articulation of your personal philosophy. And the idea is that if you haven't yet opened up the link that we shared, that link will allow you to follow along with these exercises in a much easier way. So these are the exercises. We'll go through core values, peak experiences, analyzing decisions, and examining your heroes. And hopefully by the end of that handout, you might be, very close to finding out what your guiding principles are. So this is the first of our exercises today. And I want to let me see some thumbs up. How are we feeling? Are we ready to get started? Do we have the link? Do we need a minute to pull up the link? How are we feeling? See some thumbs up. Okay. Perfect. There we go. Thank you, Kayla, for sharing that again. So even if you are kind of having to look at the handout right now, that's okay as long as you can continue to hear me. The idea is that with this handout, you'll be able to, if you will, score how relevant these strengths and values are for you as I am reading them out to you. Now, this kind of clarification of your core values, it's a limited list, right? So there will be other values that perhaps I'm not naming here, but there's a space for you to kind of add your own. But let's see if we can all kind of collectively get into this space of just introspection. And as I read the descriptions of these values, see how much they resonate with you. And you don't have to overthink it. You can just put from, 1, it doesn't really resonate with me that much, or 5, it really comes out for me and it seems like it's really important. And then you'll start to score, and hopefully get a sense of priority, which ones are coming up for you more. So we're going to start, and these come from the Virtues in Action. So if you're familiar with that, then this will be kind of very easy for you to go through. But if not, I'm going to give a little bit of a description to each one of these. So let's start with creativity, right? Creativity has the motto of, I do things my own way. I do things differently. You're clever, you're original, you're kind of a natural problem solver who adapts well to challenge. Think about how much this shows up in your life and go ahead and rate yourself. And I'm going to go very quickly, so just go with the flow. Curiosity, right? You like to ask a lot of questions. You are deeply interested in exploring new ideas and experiences. How much does this land with you? Judgment. You like to examine the details. You think things through. You're careful. You remain kind of open-minded in your decision making. Love of learning. You just learn something from every situation. You see the big picture. You enjoy acquiring new knowledge and mastering new skills. This is something that comes up for me. Perspective, right? If you have perspective as a high value, you like to offer advice. You like to look at things from different points of views. You see the big picture and you provide wise counsel. Now, let's get into bravery. And this is you face what you're afraid of, right? Even if you're afraid, you go and face it. You act with moral courage and stand up for what is right. Honesty, you tell the truth almost all the time. You're sincere, you're authentic, you're trustworthy. Zest, you take action, you are vital. Your approach to life is energetic and enthusiastic. So rate yourself. How are you in that? Now, the value of love, right? You're warm, you're a good listener, you value close relationships, you express warmth and care. How much is love a part of your core value? Kindness. You like to be helpful. You err towards caring, right? You're generous, you're nurturing, you're compassionate to others and towards yourself. What about social intelligence, right? You like to be friendly. You understand and navigate social situations with awareness and empathy of your own feelings and the feelings of other people. How about teamwork, right? The motto is I like to work side by side with others, right? You are loyal and responsible, contributing effectively to a group effort. How much is that part of your value? Fairness. The motto would be you treat people the way you want to be treated, right? You make impartial decisions and value justice for all. How much is that part of your core value? And try to rate yourself from 1 to 5. See what comes up. Leadership. You like to organize activities for others. You like to inspire others. You guide and inspire groups to achieve shared goals. How much is leadership coming up for you as a core value? Now, forgiveness. How much are you able to let go? How much is that showing up for you as a strength? Can you accept other people's shortcomings and offer second chances? Perhaps humility. You place attention on others and not too much on yourself. You're modest and you let action speaks for themselves. Prudence. You think before you act or speak, right? You're careful about the choice and avoid unnecessary risk. Think about how much prudence is part of your core values. Self-regulation, you can manage your vices, right? You can control your impulses. You can maintain emotional balance. How much is that part of your core value? Or appreciation of beauty and excellence, right? Finding the beauty in nature and art and ideas and people, right? You are in awe and inspired by excellence and goodness. Or gratitude, you tell people thank you often. You recognize and express appreciation for life blessing. Hope, you're positive even when others are not, right? You're optimistic. You focus on a better future. Or humor, you like to laugh a lot. It gives levity. It brings joy and lightness to different interactions. Or spirituality, you look for what is sacred in every moment. You seek meaning and connectedness to something greater than yourself. So this is a limited list of values. You may value family and friends, connectedness and community. You may value independence and being self-reliant. You may value having a healthy lifestyle and self-care. So as we have gone through this list of core values and you've been able to rate yourself, see if you can scroll and define what your top 5 values are, or what are the ones that are coming up for you. It can be something that is not on this list, but you know that it comes up for you strongly. So take a few moments and see if you can identify your top 5 values. And there's no right or wrong here because it's personal. It's all about you, what shows up in your life. Now, did you discover anything? Is there something that, kind of came up for you that you learned about yourself? let's see if we can get a chat wave going and kind of just put in the chat what's coming up for you. What is your top value? What is something that perhaps you discovered that you didn't know? Things that I do not value are more obvious to me. Yeah, well, we have that negativity bias, right? We do. We have it inherently because we're human beings. Um, and this is kind of an invitation to look towards what we do value, right? And that's interesting that you would put that because sometimes we might know what we don't want, right? But we could, it's two sides of the coin, right? If we don't want this, what do we do want? If I don't value this, what do I actually value, right? Okay. What if you have rated high in all areas? Well, I mean, I think that is perfectly okay, right? Because I did read out a lot of great things, right? Who doesn't want to be a perfect 10 in everything? And that's all right. We will ask some more questions in this workshop that will perhaps take you to a different awareness by the end, right? You'll start to notice which ones are actually showing up in your life. And that rating might change. Yeah.
I was just going to say something that I realized that the things that like I gave fives to that I value the most, I feel the best when that is part of my day. Like let's say kindness was one of my top things. And when I am doing something kind for somebody else, I feel so alive. And even though it's for them, it makes me feel alive.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And that's another thing that can be, if you will, giving us information. How much energy does living this value give me, right? If it's fueling me, right, then that's telling me something. All right, let's see. Creativity, curiosity, love for learning. Yeah, I can see all of those. Yeah. I have a pretty even amount of strengths and weaknesses. Well, I mean, that's a lot of awareness of yourself. Excellent. I mean, that's amazing. Um, Want to be more brave, let go of resentment, right? The two sides of the coin. That's perhaps the resentment might go with a little bit of forgiveness, you know? And and the bravery of doing things that perhaps aren't easy or that can give us a bit of, fear. Yeah. I have to work more on what I value. Yeah. I realize how much I value honesty. Exactly, right? How much that will show up in your life. And we'll talk more about, how these values already show up. So you already have this guiding principle. We're just trying to articulate it. We're trying to bring it to awareness here. It helped me remind myself of the values I really care about. Sometimes that is all we need to get back on track. Very true. Very true. Especially when we are overwhelmed, right? Sometimes life can get a bit, hectic and very busy. Um, I realized I dropped in an area where I thought I'd flourish, and yeah, that's okay. So that's another great point. We're not always the same. Your values, will show up in different ways in different points of your life. So even your personal philosophy might change dynamically as you change as a human being. Now, there are some things that kind of are the golden thread to your whole life. There's some things that kind of stay pretty steady, and others that will kind of oscillate and flow. And this is okay as well. So, it's just, asking yourself, how am I showing up now, with my values is what we're going to talk more about. And what do I want to cultivate more of, right? Okay, we're going to get moving because I tend to talk too much. And so the next exercise, and you can continue to work in your handout there. is we're going to reflect on peak experiences. So now think about moments of pure joy, moments where you have been fulfilled, you felt most alive, right? These are meaningful moments in your life. Think about, what values were showing up there? Why was it so meaningful? What what was the environment, right? Around you? Who was with you? How were you showing up in that peak experience, right? Perhaps you just graduated school. Perhaps you decided to get married. Perhaps you, I don't know, just had an amazing day on vacation. Whatever it is, think about a peak experiences of joy in your life. How were you showing up? What values perhaps were really kind of up in front, really being expressed? And, what was the environment? Who were you with? So in that, in your handout, there's a space for you to write down what are things that you can reflect on that were really showing up in that moment of joy, fulfillment. And now let's kind of look at the other side of the coin, right? Let's think about a very challenging moment in your life, a moment where you felt down, a moment where everything was hard and dark and difficult, and a moment where you felt very low satisfaction. What was missing? Think about that. What was missing? As we're here, we're focusing, if you will, on the positive psychology of it, right? If this was a very bad moment, it means something that really mattered to me was missing. Think about what was missing and see if you can jot down a few things that were missing. Perhaps connection, perhaps honesty, perhaps forgiveness, whatever it is. We're looking at the other side of the coin and looking at what was missing that made it so unfulfilling, right? Because there's a need that was not satisfied. So think about that. What was missing? And now I want to get a chat wave going again. Or if you want to unmute and speak, I mean, that would make me very happy. I don't want to put anybody on the spot, but what did you discover? What came up for you in the peak moments? And what came up for you in the very low moments?
It always feels good to reflect on these things just because like I said earlier, it's such a reminder and just brings you back. But I think it's also important to not just look at the good because that's life, right? It's a whole roller coaster and you got to take in the whole experience. I myself try to, stay positive and smile through even the bad moments, but some of them are just impossible to smile through.
Yeah.
So reflecting on those also just made me brought some of those feelings back, but um, I'm glad I got past it, and I'm happy to be where I am today. So it was good to just remember again.
Yeah, thank you for sharing, Lucci. Is there anything that, any silver lining from that reflection of both sides?
Um, I'd say choices. Um, just kind of like doing the right thing, and then on the other end, when it's not even that you're not doing the right thing, but you weren't doing as much as you could have done, and then you fall short. But you know also that if you had made maybe a little bit different choices, or you know, went a little bit harder in what you were doing, then things could have been different. But again, it's life, right?
Yeah, it is life. And I like that you said, those choices, right? When we're having a good moment, it would seem that we made the right choices, right? And sometimes life also offers us the low moments, and there's always something to learn from that, right? There was something missing, perhaps, right? Perhaps there was, low perseverance, or perhaps there was distraction. We never know, but there was something missing. And that's where we're like, okay, I'm feeling low because, this value was not present enough. And I can work on that, right? I want this to be perhaps a little bit different in the future. So it's good to learn. So I'm going to read up here. Challenging moments, I feel misunderstood. And in peak moments, I feel connected. That's a perfect example. Thank you so much, Karen. So when you feel connected, it's a peak moment. When you feel disconnected and not understood, it's a low moment. And that speaks to your value of connectedness, right? So that's something that really hits home. Um, let's see, peak moments, full of joy, challenging times, hopeless. Yeah. So when we, again, that's also a very clear example, right? When we're joyful, we tend to be optimistic. We look for the good in life. And when we're hopeless, we're missing that outlook, right? We're kind of missing that sense of, hey, this will pass and I will be okay, right? So there's, again, right there, you're seeing that hope and joy is a very valued thing for you. Let's see, many of the traits present in a peak experience were missing in the challenging experience. And that is the bottom line, Lakeisha. Yes, absolutely. That's the bottom line. In our peak moments, our values are showing up, expressing themselves, and everybody's there having a good time. And on our low experiences, they're low because we're missing on things that are so important to us. So thank you so much, everyone, for sharing that. Um, Let me see here. Yeah. All right, I need us to move on so we have enough time to finish up here because I usually have too much work for an hour. All right, so next exercise, and this one is for us to think about important decisions you've made in your life. Start with one, perhaps who you decided was your life partner, perhaps where you live, perhaps the job you took, the what you're studying at school, or any important decision in your life. What core values and beliefs were driving those choices? Think about what is behind those choices. And there's no right and wrong. Even if there were good decisions or bad decisions, it's okay, right? What we're trying to find out is, what are my guiding principles? What is guiding my life? Am I guiding my life, or is there like a societal norm that's guiding my life and telling me the shoulds of my life? And if that's okay, we're just coming into awareness to gain our power, right? Because as we articulate our guiding principles, we might start to be very authentic with our choices coming up. So think about that. And these change, right? These can change because perhaps when we are at one moment in our life, we might have a certain core value or a certain belief that we're holding on to. And then we realize it's not really working for us anymore. And we might choose a different one going forward. And that's totally okay. All right. So with that thought in mind, so if you have identified something about your decisions, please put it in your handout, right? These responses will get back to you. So at the end, when you hit submit, you'll get an email with all of your responses. So the idea is that you can keep this information, and this is personal to you, and it might be helpful for you to see where you're at now and maybe see where you're at a year from now when we do this workshop again. Now, the last kind of exercise I'm going to have you go do is reflect on who inspires you or what inspires you. Perhaps you look up to a certain role model, perhaps you have certain heroes, perhaps there's just a movement out there that inspires you, right? Think about this and think about what they stand for. Are there certain words or catchphrases that really speak to you that, when you hear it, when you see it, you're like, yep, that's me. I'll share a brief anecdote. I have my ringtone is "Don't worry, be happy" by Bob Marley. My kids think that's my life motto, which is not, but it's okay because it's something that I do kind of carry with me. Right? Don't worry, be happy. It is something that I carry with me. So this would go into my into my exercises if I were doing this. But think about it from your point of view, from your life. What are things that kind of just resonate with you? People, role models, movements, phrases. And then you have believe. Yeah. Have you seen Ted Lasso? If you have not, you got to see it. Believe is very much in there. Yeah. Resilience. Absolutely, Marilka. Resilience, really bouncing back. Okay. So you have a space in your handout for your heroes and role models. Put in there anything that's coming up for you at the moment. And this leads us to a few examples because I can't just tell you guys, write your personal philosophy. That would be so daunting, right? To put you in the spot that way. So I am here to share a few examples of perhaps some famous people and not so famous at the end, but that have articulated their personal philosophy. So for example, Socrates, right? An unexamined life is not worth living, right? It's a call to reflect deeply on one's own existence and values. And that's what we're doing here. So we're definitely resonating with Socrates right now. Aristotle, we are what we repeatedly do. Excellence then is not an act, but a habit, right? This speaks to success is cultivated through consistent action. Mahatma Gandhi, be the change you wish to see in the world, right? Transformation begins personally with yourself. Mother Teresa, do small things with great love, right? The greatness lies in simple acts done with compassion. Eleanor Roosevelt, do one thing every day that scares you. And this speaks to kind of being courage, having this courage and growing from discomfort. Thoreau, go confidently in the direction of your dreams. Live the life you have imagined. And this is an invitation to pursue authenticity and purpose. And you can imagine that this is not always easy, right? But if this is your personal philosophy, man, you're going to do some cool stuff. Ralph Waldo Emerson, to be yourself in a world that is consistently trying to make you something else is the greatest accomplishment. So again, showing up authentic, right? That is the big core of a meaningful life. And then the not so famous person, that would be Maria Benzo. And in my personal philosophy, after many years of working with this on myself, is being present. So staying connected to the present moment, one day at a time, one breath at a time, staying connected because that is what fuels me, connected to myself, connected to other people that I love, connected to a higher purpose, and intentionally cultivating joy. This is something that I hope I live by every single day, even on hard days. And sometimes it is hard to cultivate joy, right? Sometimes it's just hard. So now it's your moment, and I'm going to try to give you, let's say, 2 or 3 minutes. See if you can start to identify some key themes, right? Something that comes up here, comes up there, and kind of is repetitive for you. And see if you can start to draft a statement. So it doesn't have to be so concise if you need it to be more elaborate, right? Perhaps it might be 1 sentence, 1 word, or 3 sentences, or whatever many sentences you need. And take a moment, write it out, say it out loud, think about it, write it again. Play around with some ideas there, play around with some words. And we're gonna take a moment. You can look back at the handout, see something is sparking. And you don't have to be, if you will, tied down by your past, right? You can articulate what is true to you right now and what you would like to have as a guiding principle going forward, starting today. So think about how you want to show up in this world and what values will guide every one of those choices, big or small. Be kind, help others, stay present, and love unconditionally. Yeah, that's strong. That's strong. I love that. And you said, right, kindness fuels you, so it makes sense that you put it first. Yeah.
It does.
Follow somebody share Jane Fonda. It's much better to be interested than to be interesting. Yeah,
I like that.
absolutely. Yeah. It sounds like a cat poster, but you just have to believe. Yes. People who can listen intently, who are willing to be open, accepting, and compassionate. Well, that can be you. Saikita, love, bravery, and honesty. Yeah, that one sounds like a warrior princess right there. All right. Be the best version of you. Nobody else can do it better. Absolutely. Positive psychology. Woo-hoo. Yeah, we do have some positive psychologists in the house, so that makes sense, huh? Learn as much as you can. Say yes to opportunities. Keep toxic people at distance. Yeah. So that's very interesting. And live every moment as it may be the last. Yes, absolutely.
We never know.
What was that, Robin?
I said we never know.
We never know, but yeah, we never know. I mean, life's beauty is, tightly connected to how fragile we are, right? That's why it's so beautiful. Learn, oh yeah. All right. Well, so one of the kind of the tests your philosophy needs to go through is saying it to other people. especially to people that know you, right? They're your real test because they can call you out, right? If they kind of see you in that way or not. And if there's discrepancies, it's okay, right? Because this is your choice, your decision, you articulating and gaining power and knowing your philosophy, your guiding principle. But I do dare you to share what you've come up with the people you live with, or just people that kind of know you. So identifying your core values can help you steer the boat because it helps you make decisions in ways that you feel more confident. Um, there are things in life where we will face some internal conflict, and that's okay. You know, in those moments, it is good to have a personal philosophy because you can sit with your personal philosophy and perhaps just hear out what's going on, right? If I do have an internal conflict, what two values might be at conflict, and what will serve me better at this moment, right? Um, the idea is that as you start to become aware of your daily life, and we make so many decisions on a daily basis, right? Are those decisions honoring your personal philosophy, the one that you really want to put forward, right? So this is a good moment to shake off anything that we want to shake off and say, okay, I'm going to put it front in mind, right? I'm going to write it down. I'm going to put it really close so I can have all these primers in my life that will remind me, and be kind with yourself, right? This is a process. This is dynamic. This will evolve as we all need to evolve. But start to have fun and start to reflect on, every day. What came up for me today? What are things that I did show up in a way that I'm proud of and some ways that I'm not? And I have those moments all the time, right? But if we have our personal philosophy really close to us, then we will start to align better. So that's the idea. The idea is that as you start to articulate your personal philosophy, you'll start to align more. Every decision will align more. And if I want to persevere, it will align, right? Now we are at the top of the hour. I do want to leave you with just live your truth, live your own guiding principles, right? The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are. And that doesn't mean that we're pleasing everybody else all the time. It means that you know what you stand for. And, stay true to your core values, revise it as many times as you feel it's needed, right? It is a dynamic process. Embrace this kind of authenticity. And authenticity is not always so pretty, but it helps you feel true to you. And I can say that living authentically, can have its rewards. And I do hope that for yourself, for you, for me, for all of us. And I'll open it up to any discussions, questions, and any takeaways that you might have.
I'm just going to say, like, I never really physically wrote it out, but after I did, it just feels so right. Like, yeah, just feels good.
Yeah, and again, I think the best like thermostat is share it with the people you live with.
Yeah.
And that will give you also
Yeah.
a different
Yeah,
perspective.
exactly. Exactly. Does anybody else have any questions? We're going to drop a little survey in the chat. Any other questions, comments? Yes, your feedback is
I
important
just
to
want to
us.
say that good evening everyone. This was awesome. I mean, I never really thought about my personal philosophy. So as one of her positive psychology students, I'm always amazed at what I'm learning about myself. So this was pretty some areas where I thought I was flourishing in. Apparently I'm not. So the scale is telling me that, but I just wanted to say thank you for this. This was pretty awesome.
Well, I'm happy that, this is an opportunity for all of us. So thank you for showing up and doing the work because I could be here talking talking, but really the work is what everybody does personally. So thank you for doing the work.
It was also such a calming 50 minutes. It was like, ooh, it feels so like centered when you start to think about it's just like time we don't spend time thinking about these things. We're just doing. We're not human beings, we're human doings, and we're just doing this, that, go to the store, da, 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 da. And we never really take the time to what is really important to me? Like what is actually important to me? And then when you think about it and you realize it and you put it down on paper, it's like, that's what it is. That's when I feel most alive. That's very cool. Really, really cool.
Yeah. And even I'd say, like when you have hard days, and we all have hard days, right? Those are moments where you can really make decisions that kind of can go in opposite ways.
Yeah.
You could go the way that really doesn't resonate with your true self, who you want to be, how you want to show up. Or if you really know yourself and you know your personal philosophy, and say, okay, this is not what I feel like doing right now, but how do I want to show up? And I know myself, right? So that
Very true. That I think that your personal philosophy comes into play even much more and dramatically when it's a challenging situation.
100%. And like in my personal experience, the cultivate joy part, like on days that I'm just having a bad day, I'm like, oh, I have to cultivate joy. It's just,
Do
I'm
that.
not like, so that's funny because it shows up when you kind of need it. And yeah.
Yeah.
Hi, Kita, you have your hand up.
Hello, hi everyone. This was a really great presentation. Thank you so much, Dr. Benzo. I do have a quick question. Can your personal philosophy change?
Yes, 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 absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. Because I mean, yes, make it your own. And perhaps you're going to notice that some things really stick with you even throughout your evolution.
Yes.
Um, but yes, absolutely. Mhm.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, so thank you so much, everybody. We're just about out of time. I really want to thank Maria for being with us today and teaching us all something new, as well as giving us tools we can honor our compass and make choices that are aligned with our values. To everyone in the audience, thank you for spending part of your evening with us. I hope you will join us again in the next academic year. FAU.edu/happiness is the website, and our next event is actually in person. So if any of you are in the Boca Raton area near the FAU campus, it's called Resilience in Action, the Bounce Back Better approach. And if you have any questions, please reach out to us. And thank you so much for being here. And Maria, thank you so much for your time. Really greatly appreciated. Thank you.
Thank
Absolutely.
you.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
everyone. It was
You.
very fun to be with all of you.